We started with the discussion on timers and discussed the different modes of operation of a PMOD register. Okay. Okay. Let me share the screen. Here. This is my previous class. Okay. Fine. Yes. Timers. We discussed some modes of timers. Also, we discussed various modes of operation of various mode of operation of timers. Okay, so we continue from the point. Okay, so timers four mode of operation. We discussed there are four modes. There is mode 0, which is a uh, yeah, which is a 13-bit timer. Mode 0. That means only 13 bits are used for the timer operation or counting operation. 16-bit mode 1, 16-bit timer. All the 16 bits are used for the timing and the counting operation. Mode 2, it is a 8-bit auto reload mode. And mode 3, it is a split timer. What happens for this mode 3, split timer? In 8051 based microcontrollers, the split timers are not used. Okay, but in some controller, some version of controllers, we see that the split timers are used. Okay, so that's why we'll not discuss the mode 3 operation of the timer. Okay, we'll concentrate only on the first three modes of operation. Even in that, the very popular, mostly used mode of operation is mode 1 or mode 2. Mode 1 is a 16-bit timer. Mode 2 is a actually 8-bit timer, 8-bit timer, but it is a auto reload mode, as we discussed in the last class. I'll discuss that point again, and I'll continue from there. In other three modes of operation, there is in other two mode of operation, there is mode 0 and mode 1. When the timer reaches the final count, there is something like this. New page. Okay. So when the timer, for example, let us say somebody is on the line. Okay. Okay. So let us say timer reaches the final count. Okay. So let us say, for example, timer 0 or 10. You can take any time, no problem. Okay. So initial count is 0000h. Okay. It's a decimal count. It on the application of clock pulse, the count increases. Like this, it continues. Okay, till it reaches the final count of FF, FFH, FFH. So when on the application of clock pulse, when the counter or timer is already in the final count, in mode 0 and mode 0 operation, mode 0 actually mode 0 is a 13-bit timer. Let us take mode 1 operation. Okay? Mode 1 operation, of course, it applies to mode 0 also. Mode 1 operation, for example, on the application of next clock pulse, when the timer is already in the final count, it will be reset back to 0000. Okay, this is by default. How do we know when this reset has happened? It will set the flag TF0 or TF1 that we'll discuss later. This flag thing we'll discuss later. So thereby, the in mode 1 operation, this is default. Mode 1 or mode 0 operation, when the timer is already in the final count, it will be reset back to 0000. Okay. But what happens in case of mode 2 operation is that we can start, see, in the mode 1 or mode 0 operation, initial count by default is always 0000. We cannot change this. Of course, we can change this, no doubt. Okay. For example, let us say I don't want to start from 0. Let us say I can start from, let us say, 1F0 to H. For example, initial count is 1F0 to H. On the application of next clock pulse, the count increases to 1F03H. Okay, this continues when it reaches the final count of FFH. Okay, on the application of next clock pulse, the timer or counter resets to 00. It will never go back to 1F02H. Okay, in case of mode 1 and mode 0 operation, initial value we can start with any value, but when it reaches final count on the application of next clock pulse, it will go back to 0. Okay, it will start from 0 only. But still, again, let's say I don't want to start from 0, but it will default, it will go to 0. I don't want to start here. Again, I need to load this value. What value? 1F02H. 1F02H. Again, continue this operation. Whereas the advantage in case of a the mode 2 operation is that, let us say mode 2 is a 8-bit the timer 2 power 8, that is maximum state is 256 count. Okay, 256 count, or number of clock pulse it can count is 256. Let us say initial count, I don't want 00, I want something else. If it is 00 normal, normal operation on the application of clock pulse, the count becomes 01H. Of course, all these are hexadecimal values. This continues when the last when it reaches final count of FFH. On the application of clock pulse, the initial value, if it is 00, it will go back to 00. Okay. Whereas if you start from some other value, let us say I start from 55H, for example, initial value is initial value or initial count, for example, initial count is 55H. On the application of clock pulse, it becomes 56H. This operation continues on the application of clock pulses. So it reaches when it reaches a final count of FFH, and the application of next clock pulse, it will not reset back to 00. No, it will, unlike in what we have seen in mode 1 or mode 0 operation, it will reset back to 00. This we cannot avoid. If you want to start with some other value, then again we have to load this value and continue. In mode 2 operation, we need not worry. The microcontroller automatically, or the compiler will automatically load the initial value to the timer. Okay, what is the initial value is? It is 55H. It will load initial value 55H to the timer when it reaches a final count of FFH. When it reaches a final count of FFH. To achieve this, what does the microcontroller does is, it makes use of upper byte of a timer. Either we are using timer 0 or timer 1. Okay, so we have upper byte of the timer. Let us say, for example, TH0 or 1. TH0 or 1 means upper byte of timer 0 or timer 1. Okay, so this upper byte of timer 0 or timer 1 will have the initial value, initial count, for example 55H. Okay, so this what does will load 55H to the upper byte of a timer. What does the compiler does is, it will copy this upper byte of a timer to lower byte of the timer. What is the lower byte of a timer? Yes, but timer 0 it is TL0. TL, I'm sorry, 0. For timer 0 it is TL0. For timer 1 it is TL1. Okay, so the initial value will be loaded from upper byte of a timer to the lower byte of a timer. Okay, so the initial count becomes 55H. Okay, so when the timer is started, how to start the timer we'll discuss next. Okay, when the timer is started, somebody is on the line. Okay, fine. So when the timer is started, what will happen is, it will start with the value of 55H. It continues something like this. This operation continues. This operation results 55H initial value or initial count. This continues. When it reaches the final count, what does the microcontroller does is, it will copy the 55 or whatever initial value available in the upper byte to the lower byte, and this counting operation continues. This counting operation continues as long as we continue to run the timer. Let us say, for example, if the timer, upper byte of a timer consists of 00, for example, let us say we are not considered any initial value, then this operation results. Okay, it starts with 00, it reaches final count, and again initial count is 00 in this case. So the 00 is loaded to the lower byte of a timer. It continues. So this gives a more flexibility. There is mode 2, but the only problem with the mode 2 is it's only 8-bit mode. Okay, so maximum count we can achieve is 256. That's the problem. Okay, Whereas in case of mode 1, advantage is that it is a 16-bit timer. Even mode 0 is also better. It is a 13-bit timer. Okay, but there is no auto reload mode. Each time when we want to start with some other count, we have to initialize the timer each time when the timer reaches the final count. Okay, because when it reaches final count, the application of next clock pulse, whether we like it or not, it goes to 0000. Okay, this we cannot prevent. That's the drawback of what you call mode 1 or mode 0. But advantage is that it gives a higher count. We can for mode 1 we can maximum we can go up to 65,536 number of count. It has its own advantage. Okay? Yeah, yeah, Yes. Okay. So just a second. 51 on the list. Attendance continues to be, your section is very poor. At least your friends on that section, at least. Okay, anyway. Okay, so that's about mode difference between auto reload. There's a meaning of what is known as auto reload. There's a difference between mode 2 and mode 0 and mode 1. Okay, so commonly used is mode 1 as mode 2. Wherever we require auto reload condition, we go for mode 2. If auto reload is not necessary, then we'll go for mode 1. Mode 0 and mode 3 are rarely used. So mode 3 is not used first of all. Mode 0 is rarely used because it's only 13-bit timer. Okay. Next is other 2 bits. Okay. So we'll discuss gate bit and the CT bar. Okay. What is the meaning of gate bit? Yes. Now what will happen is the what do you call the gate bit. First, let me discuss CT bar. Okay. So what we have understood now is the timer hardware. Okay, so this, let's say 8051 microcontroller. It has a timer and the counter hardware. Timer hardware, which is also used as a counter. So timer hardware is used to generate the delay. Timer is used to generate the delay. We have understood in the last class. Let us say a simple example is screen timeout screen timeout settings. If you set it for 5 seconds, after 5 second delay, the screen will turn off if there is no activity by the user. Okay. This timer hardware counts internal clock pulse. Okay. This timer hardware counts internal clock pulse. There is a continuous clock pulse. It is a continuous. When the microcontroller is started, the internal oscillatory circuit will generate a continuous oscillation. Timer will count the internal clock pulse. No problem. Okay. When external events are applied, external events to be counted are applied to the microcontroller through the external pins, the port pins. Okay, there are separate pins for this. I'll show you that. Okay, when this port, when this external events are to be counted, that is fed to the the timer hardware. That external event may be, as we discussed in the last class, it may be periodic. It may not be, for example, object counting. There may be object for some duration, and there may not be object for longer duration. So they can continuous object placement, and there is an object. Similar. This is a non-periodic event, external event. So when these external events are counted by the timer hardware, the timer is called as a counter. Timer is called as a counter. Okay, fine. So for these external pulses to be applied, okay, we use separate pins. So for that, I need to open the pin diagram. So let me open in the this material. Okay. Okay. Now, if you see the pin diagram, in the port 3, there are 2 separate pins which are used for this purpose. Okay. Yes, you can observe there are 2 pins here. There is interrupt 0. Hey, I'm sorry. Interrupt, not interrupt. Interrupt is the next after this. Okay. Yeah. So timer 0, timer 1 pin. Yes, can you see these 2 pins? There is P3.4 and P3.5. Timer 0 when it is used as a counter. Okay. So what is a counter case? When the external events are counted by the timer hardware, then the timer is called as a counter. Okay. These external pulses which are to be counted by the internal timer circuit, those clock pulses are applied to P3.4. Pin number is 14. When timer 1 is used, because there are two timers, timer 0 and timer 1. When timer 1 is used as a counter, then the clock pulses are fed to P3.5. Pin number is 15. Okay. External pins. If timer hardware is used as a timer, as we have discussed just now, it will take the internal clock pulse. It will take the internal clock pulse. Okay. So now the question is, how to tell the microcontroller that I want to use this hardware as a timer or a counter. For that, we make use of this TMOD pin or bit, TMOD bit called as CT bar. Okay. So what is this? CT bar. The actual it is actually CT bar. That bar is missing here. Okay, CT bar. Okay. So what does this CT bar indicates is that when the pin is 0, okay, timer operation. Okay, just a second. Okay, fine. Okay, CT bar pin. What does this CT bar pin indicates? Okay, CT bar pin indicates as indicates that when C is equal to 1, this particular time, because CT bar is available in both the it's available for separately available for timer 0 as well as timer 1. Okay, so we are using, let's say for example, timer 0. In this timer 0, if this bit is set to 1, that means we are using timer 0 as a counter. Whereas if this bit is set to 0, that means we are using timer as a timer. Timer as a timer means it will count the internal clock pulse. That is, source of clock pulse is internal oscillatory circuit. If this bit is set to 0, if this bit is set to 1, the source of clock pulse is from the external device. Then the hardware is set to act as a counter. The same thing applies to timer 1. Okay, if this bit is 1, it will act as a counter circuit. If this bit is 0, it will act as a. If this bit is 0, it will act as a timer circuit. Very simple. Okay. Yes, that's about CT bar bit. What about this gate bit? Okay, yes, this gate bit is used to how this timer or a counter. Okay, after loading the value, let us say for example, in this we'll go back to this somewhere here. Okay, so let us say for example we are using timer. Let me write again because that is totally okay. So let us say we are using timer 0 or timer 1, no problem. So initial count, let us say for example, if it is 0 0 0 0. Okay, so we have to start the timer because timer cannot run continuously, because if the timer is running continuously, it will consume more power. Okay, so we should be able to control. We should be able to turn on and turn off the timer. Okay, so for that we have a separate bit in TCON register, timer control register. It is called as TR0 for timer 0 and TR1 for timer 1. This I'll discuss this little later. After this actually we have TCON bit discussion. I'll come to that TCON bit discussion. Okay, it's somewhere here. I'll show you. Okay, TCON bit. Okay, so that also we'll discuss. But for timing, I'll explain this. That is TMOD. Okay, so this TCON is somewhere here. It is little because TCON is used for both the interrupt operation as well as here it is. Okay, this is the TCON. Let's discuss here only. It will be very much clear. Okay, so there is a special function register called as timer control register. So if you see where is this timer control register is, go to if you see in the special control SFR block, special function register block, there is a special function register called as TCON. Okay, as in fact last class we saw TCON. Okay, TCON is just below the TMOD register. That is at the byte address 88H, and this TCON is a both bit accessible as well as byte accessible. This TCON register is used to control the operation of the timers. What is the difference between TMOD and TCON? What is the purpose? Difference in purpose of TMOD and TCON. TMOD helps in selecting the mode of operation. First reason. Second reason, select whether it is a timer or a counter. Third reason, how to control the timer. Control in the sense, how do we start and stop? The timer? In fact, we are discussing this point now. There is a start and stop. TCON register, on the other hand, helps in controlling the start and stop of the timer. Start and stop means, guys, there is a difference. I'll tell you. TCON register basically gives control in terms of start and stop. How to start and stop comes in TMOD register. How do we stop? Different method of starting and stopping comes in the TMOD register. Simple start and stop action comes under the control of TCON register. Okay, start and stop. And the second operation is the indication, the flag registers, flag bits when the timer overflows. Guys, what is the overflow condition of a timer? Guys, I'll discuss that now. Timer overflows when it reaches the final count. For example, when it reaches the final count of FFFFH, I don't have any other color option. Yeah, when it reaches the final count of FFFFH, on the application of next clock pulse, the timer overflows to 0000. This we call it as a overflow condition. Because otherwise, see, let us say, for example, mobile device. Okay, there is a mobile device. Okay, now this mobile device, for example, screen timeout time, screen what do you call timeout. Okay, period. Okay, let's say it's around 5 seconds. How does the mobile device know that 5 seconds has elapsed? Internal timer start the timer. Okay, starts the timer. It counts clock pulses when it reaches some particular count. Okay, of course it should be final count. When it reaches final count on the application of next clock pulse, it will be reset to some initial value. It may be 0. This condition, which is called as a overflow condition, when this overflow condition is attained, some flag is set. Some flag bits are set to 1. The processor inside the mobile device continuously monitor this flag bit. If the flag bit is set to 1, it understands that timer has overflown. Timer overflow condition indicates that it has generated a delay of 5 seconds. That's all. Otherwise, mobile is a dead device. It is not powered. Though it is a smart, without if it is not powered or if it is not programmed, it can't do any magic. So thereby this flag bit will help in telling the processor that some required delay is generated. Those flag bits are available in the TCON register. Okay, so that we can observe now. The TCON register basically consists of start bit and stop bit, the start and stop of the timer, and the overflow flag bit. The start and stop bit of the timer is represented as TR0 for timer 0. TR stands for timer run, because there should not be we should not wonder what is TR stands for. Timer run. Okay, timer run 0 for timer 0. TR1 stands for timer 1 run bit. Okay, for timer 1. Okay, so if these bits are set to 1, particular timer will start counting the clock pulse. That means initially the initial value is loaded. For example, let us say mode 0 operation. Initial value is loaded. Okay, initial value is loaded. Okay, it has not started the timer. Okay, only initial value is loaded. It's ready to start. When particular timer, either TR0 or TR1 is set to 1, the timer starts counting the clock pulse. Otherwise, it doesn't count. It doesn't care until and unless these bits are set to 1. Okay. Those 2 bits you can see that here, guys, TR0 and TR1. There is the upper 4 bits of the TCON register, because only upper 4 bits corresponds to timer operation. Lower 4 bits corresponds to interrupt operation that we'll discuss later. Don't worry about the lower 4 bits now. Okay, so we'll concentrate only on the upper 4 bits. When the timer 0 overflows, TF0 flag is set to 1. When timer 1 overflows, TF1 flag will be set to 1. So what we have to do in the program is, we have to continuously check TF0 and TF1 bit to know whether the timer has overflown. As long as these bits are 0, that is after starting the timer. Let's say we are using timer 0, we have set this TR0 to 1. After starting the timer 0, we have to continuously monitor the TF0. As long as TF0 is 0, that means TR1 is yet to reach the final count of FFFFH for mode 1 operation. Okay, because for mode 1 operation, the final count is FFFFH. For mode 2 operation, the final count is FFH. For mode 2 operation, since it's only 8-bit timer, final count is FFH. Okay. When this bit is set to 1, that means timer has overflow. Overflow means when it reaches final count and the application of next clock pulse, timer is reset to initial count. In the mode 1 operation, it is 000H. In the mode 2 operation, it depends. Whatever the initial value we have given, it will go back to that initial count. Okay. So these are the two operations performed in the timer control special function register. Okay. So what is the what you call byte address of TCON register is? It is the 88H, and this TCON is a both bit accessible as well as byte accessible. Whereas TMOD is not a bit accessible; it is only byte accessible. Okay. Yes. So thereby we'll continue from here. So this I'll go back to the TMOD register next. No? I wanted TCON we have to discuss here because we should know how to start the timer. Just by loading a value, it doesn't start the timer. Okay, fine. Yes, just now we have understood that to start it, we'll discuss gate bit now. Okay, to start a timer, we make use of a what you call TR0 or TR1 bit. Okay, TR0 or TR1 bit for timer 0 as well as timer 1. Okay, how do we start? There are two methods. Okay, in the microcontroller 8051, there are two methods of starting the timer. One is the programming method. Okay. Another is the hardware method of starting the timer. Another is what is known as hardware method of starting the timer. Programming method is using these bits. Okay. That is, if these bits are set to 1. Okay. So how do we set this bit to 1? Very simple. Set B instruction set B TR0 will set this bit to 1. Timer 0 will start counting the clock pulse. Okay. If this bit is set to 1, that is set to be TR1 will set the timer will set this bit to 1. Timer 1 starts counting the clock pulse. When the timer 1 starts counting the clock pulse, that means timer operation is started. Okay. This way of starting the timer is called as programming method of starting the timer. Okay. Of course, I have given what we saw just now is a assembly instruction. The same thing we can do it in C language also. That is TR0 is equal to 1 will start the timer 0. TR1 is equal to 1 will start the timer 1 in C language. C instruction, very simple. Okay. Hardware method. What is hardware method? Okay. Instead of using this TR0 bit and TR1 bit, we can start the timer by using external hardware. Okay. What is that external hardware? Okay. So this external hardware, that is, we have 805 microcontroller. External switches are connected to microcontroller. For example, let us say there is a So external switches are connected to some to be more precise. Okay, it should have been like this. Okay, I'll tell you why this kind of connection will tell you. Okay, so external pins are connected to external switches. Sorry, these external switches are connected to a microcontroller. Switches are connected to microcontroller. Okay. Guess what is a switch? Case is a mechanical push button switch. I think if you guys have, especially those who are working with the, the what you call hardware, Arduino board kind of things. You guys will be knowing what is this push button switch. I'll show you here. What is a push button? You must have seen in the hardware, push button switches. So we should not imagine push button switch or something, because it's not a electrical switch, it's something like this. These are the what is known as a push button switch. It's available in Amazon. You get it in Espirod also, and it's very in Espirod you will get it for very less price. Okay. I don't know why it is taking so much time to open. This is a problem. Okay, I want to show. Oh yeah, I think it's opening a. Yes, it's opening a website. That's right. Robo.in. Yeah, Robo.in will get it. Okay. Better to open the image, it will load faster. That also takes time is a problem. Okay, let's look at here only. I don't know why this open so slowly. I don't understand. Okay, yes, this kind of a switch. This has a what you call button kind of thing on the top portion. I think you guys can see it. Push button. When you press it, it applies, the signal is applicable. When you release it, it will not apply the signal. Very simple. Okay, something like that. We make use of push button in the microcontroller based hardware. When these push button switches are connected, when we press this, switch is closed. So this is the kind of switch, pressed, switch is closed. Okay, VCC plus 5 volts or VCC. When VCC is connected plus 5 volts, this plus 5 volts. This is connected to the pin of a microcontroller 8051 microcontroller. Okay, so when the switch is pressed, as you can observe that the switch is that this pin, this microcontroller pin is shorted to ground. This microcontroller pin is shorted to ground when the switch is pressed. That means 0 voltage is applied when the switch is pressed. When the switch is released, 5 volt is applied. When the switch is released, that is when it is not pressed, then 5 volt is applied to the pin. So thereby at the pin condition, there are 2 voltages based on the switch condition. When this kind of switching operation is used, okay, what will happen is, based on the switch, we can start and stop the timer. Okay, that is, we can program it. In fact, we can programming method, we can control, whether switch pressed is start, okay, whether pressing of the switch is start of the timer, or releasing of the switch. Release of the switch is the start of the timer. This we can control. Okay, but where to connect the switch? To which pin of the microcontroller we can connect these switches? Okay, so for that we'll go back to this pin diagram. There we'll understand. 8050 microcontroller, it has 2 pins. It is called as, of course, it is again in port 3. Okay, so there are 2 pins called as interrupt 0 and interrupt 1. Okay, what that main symbol indicates? It is nothing but the active low signal. Interrupt 0 and interrupt 1. It is active low signal. There's a bar above the pin label indicates it is a it is an active low signal. Okay, so these active low signals pins, active low input pins are used to connect the physical switches, push button switches. We can connect something like this. I'll show you. Okay, for example, let us say P3.2. Okay, so interrupt 0, the pin is P3.2, the pin number is 12. Port pin is P3.2. Interrupt 1, port pin is P3.3, pin number is 13. Okay, so these are connected with the switches. These pins are connected with the switches. Okay, and this is connected to ground. Okay, so this is through a resistor, it is connected to VCC plus VCC or 5 volts. Okay, generally it's 5 volts. This is ground, guys. It looks resistor and ground looks similar when you write. This is 0 volts. Okay, when the switch is pressed, pin is shorted to ground. When the switch is released, pin is shorted to VCC. Very simple. Okay, using these switches, we can control the operation of the timer. Okay, how does the microcontroller knows that we are controlling the operation of the timer? Either using the push button switches. Okay, there is either using the either using the push button switches, that is the hardware method, or we are controlling the operation of the timer using the programming method. For that, TMOD has a special bit called as gate bit. It has a special bit called as gate bit. Okay, what does this gate bit does? You can see here. It is a timer control enable pin. Enable I don't know which color is okay. Red color is better. Okay, timer counter enable pin only when interrupt pin is high. That means when external pin is set to 1, the timer is started. Timer or counter operation starts. Okay, and TR pin is set. Okay, that means before the gate bit is used. That is what the author is trying to say is before this. Okay, before the I'm sorry. Okay, so before this this method is used, hardware method is used, TR bit should have been set to 1. For example, we are using timer 0, then this TR0 should be set to 1. Then we can control the timer operation externally using the this physical switch. The question here is that when we can control using programming method, why to use a external switch? Why to waste a switch? The point here is that in some cases we want to physically control the operation of the timer based on the switch condition, based on some requirement. Okay, there is on press of a button, I want to, let us say for example, in LED is connected to the output pin. LED is connected to the pin. These are the LEDs. LED. So LED should be on for, let us say, 5 seconds, for example, 5 seconds. Okay. For the turn on and turn off of the LED, I am using a timer. So timer, when it runs for some duration, LED will turn on, and for some other duration, LED should turn on. We can write the program using the internal programming method, that is using TR0 and TR1, but I want to control this externally. Then we can go for a physical pin, physical switches, push button switches. Okay, when this gate bit is clear, when the gate bit is set to 1, external hardware has a control over the timer operation. When this bit is 0, when this bit is set to 0, the timer is enabled whenever the TR control bit is set to 1. That is, whenever this TR0 or TR1, if it is set to 1, it is set to 1, timer will start. When this gate bit is set to 1, when this gate bit is set to 1, then the timer will start the operation. Enable means start the counting operation, or disable, that means stop the counter operation, whenever external pin interrupt 0 or interrupt 1 is set to 1. Set to 1, how to set to 1 is only method is using a switch. Okay, so this switch helps in making this pin, that is interrupt 0 or interrupt 1 pin, high or low. High means 5 volts, low means 0 volts, based on the switch position. Okay, switch pressed one condition, switch released another condition. That's what it is. Okay, this is that. Okay, to summarize this gate bit, very simple. Gate bit 1, external control, external timer control. External timer control means only in terms of on and off. Okay, not like mode 0 mode. We cannot select mode operation using gate. Okay, not possible. Only start and stop of the timer can be controlled externally using the gate bit. If mode bit is 0, then start and stop is done only using programming method. That is timer 0 bit or timer 1 bit. Timer 0 bit or timer 1 bit for timer 0 and timer 1. This is that. Okay, I mean it's clear. That is TMOD bit. Okay, this now the how to select the mode. Okay, we have some simple example. Let us say I need to select particular mode and particular timer operation. Let us understand that here. Okay, I guess there are two timers. There is there in separate? Okay, timer 0 and time. We can use either this diagram or this diagram. Okay, yes. Now let's say for example, I need to set. I'll go back here. No, this is better. Okay, so let us write TMOD register. TMOD gate bit CT bar, but as I said, the bar is not given in that document. M1, M0. Okay, similarly gate bit. Okay, CT bar, M1 and M0. Is correct? Okay, so these 4 bit corresponds to timer 0 and these 4 bit corresponds to timer 1. Okay, yes, let us say I want to set timer 0 to timer operation in mode 1. In mode 1, if I want this condition, what is the value to be loaded to TMOD register? Value to be loaded to TMOD register. How to calculate? Okay, very simple. Okay, I want timer 0. That means if I want timer 0, this timer 1 bit should be 0. This timer 1 bit should be 0. Okay, that means gate bit should be 0 because timer 1 is not used. All these bits will be automatically 0. I mean, we have to load 0 to these bits. Okay. Okay. One more condition. How do we start the timer? For example, we are starting the timer using programming method. Okay. So whenever we say programming method, this gate bit for timer 0 will automatically become 0. In most of the cases, we use the programming method. What about this CT bar bit? This CT bar, since we are using timer operation, CT bar should be set to 0. For counter operation, of course, this will be set to 1. Mode 1 operation. Mode 1 operation means M1, M0 should be, what is M1 guys? M1 is 0, M0 should be 1. Okay, that means when we load value 0, 1H, when we load the value 0, 1H to TMOD register, we can achieve timer 0 in timer mode of operation and mode 1 operation. We can achieve timer in timer and mode 1 operation. Similarly, we can understand for okay how to load this value is using instruction. Very simple. The instruction is the destination is tmod. Okay, so destination is tmod. I need to load this 01H to tmod register. The instruction is move. Is a data transfer instruction. Move. Destination is tmod, comma hash 01H. Since tmod is not a bit accessible, if it is, let us say there was a bit accessible option, then we could have set only this bit to 1. We could have set only this bit to 1, not possible. No? Tmod is not a bit accessible register, it is a byte accessible register. We'll take one more example. Okay, just to because this calculation part should be should be thorough. I mean, it should be clear so that we can easily find out the value to be loaded to tmod register to select a particular timer in particular mode of operation. Okay, fine. Let us say now I want timer one in counter mode and in mode 2 operation, and programming method. That is the starting of the timer is using the programming method, not using the external number. Okay, so timer 1 in counter mode and mode 2 operation in programming method. Okay, so this timer 0, this is timer 1, this is timer 0. All the timer 0 bit becomes 0 automatically. It is not used. It is 0. It is 0. Okay, all the timer 0 is bits are 0. Timer 1, since it is programming method, gate bit is 0. It is a counter operation. Timer 1 should be a counter. This bit is 1. Mode 1, okay. Mode 2 operation. Mode 2 operation means M1 is 1, M0 is 0. M0 is 0. Okay. So what is the value to be loaded to tmod register is? So this is equal to, okay, 60H. 60H. Okay. So to load the value to tmod register, move tmod, hash 60H. Hash 60H. Okay. This is very simple. I think this is quite clear. Next possibility is that we are using both the timers, both timer 0 and timer 1. In that case, how to find out the value? It's very simple case. It's quite straightforward. So these 4 bits correspond to timer 1. This will correspond to timer 0. Let us say I'm using timer 1 in mode 1 as a timer programming method. Timer 0 as a in mode 2 as a counter in using external hardware method. For example, using just to understand the all possibilities, just to understand. Okay, so timer 1 in mode 1 timer operation programming method, timer 0 mode 2 counter operation or counter circuit as a counter circuit using external hardware method. Okay, so let us start with timer 0. You can start from timer, no problem. Okay, timer 0 gate bit, I want it to be in external hardware method, so this bit should be 1 because we are going to use a external push button switch to control the operation of the timer. Okay, it is a counter. Counter means CT bar bit should be set to 1. Mode 2 means M1 should be 1, M0 should be 0. Correct? Mode 2, no, that is 1 0. So that is 0 0 0 1 1 0. Okay, so this is mode 0 and this is mode 1 and it is mode 2. So this bit corresponds to M1. This is M1 and this is M0. Very simple. Okay, timer 1 is a programming method, so this gate bit becomes 0. CT bar, we are using it as a timer. CT bar bit should be 0. Mode 1 operation, M1 should be 0 and M0 should be 1. M0 should be 1. What is the value to be loaded to the tmod register? It is 1 EH. 1EH. Okay, so the value to be loaded to tmod register is 1EH. What is the instruction? Move tmod, comma, hash 1EH, hash 1EH. This is the okay, guys. I mean, very simple. In this material, there's some example given, to find out the value, the condition of the timer for these values. Okay, indicate which mode, which timer selected for each of the following. Tmod 0, and I think we discussed this. That means timer 0 is selected in mode 1 operation. 20H, timer 1 is selected in mode 2 operation. 12H, timer 0 in mode 2, timer 1 in mode 1 operation. 12H for 12H. So we can think of because at this point, if it is confusing, better to write the values like 0 tmod register. Now, what is the value? 12H. There is 0001. 2 is 0010. Okay. So that means this is the gate bit. This is a CT bar bit. Okay. This is M1, M0. That means this is timer 1. So these two are 0, no problem. That means it is a timer in mode 1. Timer in mode 1. That means timer 1 is used in mode 1 operation. What about timer 0, guys? Timer 0. This is timer. This indicates timer. That is timer 1 in mode 2 operation. This is 10 means 2. That means timer 0 is used in mode 2 operation. Timer 0 is used in mode 2 operation. Very simple. Okay. So thereby the bottom line is, if this diagram is clear and there is nothing there in this diagram, it's very simple. If this is clear, it is easy to calculate the value to be loaded to tmod register. This is very important. Because what happens in most of the case, if the value to be loaded to tmod register will be wrong, the complete program becomes wrong. The expectation is program is written correct. There is no marks for the program because the value in the tmod register itself is wrong. So that gives a wrong timer in a wrong mode of operation. Okay. Now this next is okay, hardware control. Okay, this that hardware thing what we discussed, for gate bit is discussed here. Okay. Okay, so okay, that's hardware control. Quickly we look this. We had a discussion anyway. So 80-15 do starting and stopping of either software or hardware method. Okay, so using software method, there is using the start bit and stop bit. Achieved when gate bit is 0. But when start and stop bit of the timer is controlled by software method, then TR0, TR1 bits are used. It can be set using set bit instruction to start the timer. To stop the timer, clear instruction is used. Okay, there is a set B, TR0 will start the timer. We need to stop now. Otherwise, if we don't stop, it will continue. Okay, CLR TR0, for example, for timer 0, it will stop the timer. The same thing is for timer 1. Set B TR1. Set B TR1. Similarly, clear CLR TR1. It will stop the timer. Very simple. Okay. Actually, in the earlier discussion, I forgot to mention clear pin. Okay. So for this software method, gate bit should be equal to 0. Whereas for a hardware method, this gate bit should be set to 1. So the hardware way of starting and stopping the timer by using an external source, as I said, there is the input for the clock source maybe the start and stop is external source. That means to say this one. The author is trying to say this one, and the external source means the signal from the external source. There is an external switch button to start and stop the timer. In this case, the gate bit should be set to 1. Okay, so then the microcontroller can understand that the programmer is trying to start and stop the timer using an external device or external switch, or external signal in general, to be more precise. Okay, fine. Okay, yes, next we'll discuss the what you call timer mode of operation in little detail. Of course, we had a rough discussion. Things may be clear, but something like this, discussion of timer. But how does the actual internally how does the timer works? This is just operation wise. This discussion is just operation wise how the count wise, how the value wise how the timer works. Okay, but hardware wise how the timer circuit works. Okay, so that we'll discuss in the. Okay, guess then in the case quickly can we look in. Okay, for that first we have to understand this concept, for timer circuit, the uh, clock frequency. Okay, yes, I'll take 2 minutes and I'll discuss this case. Still there's 6 minutes for the class. Okay, yes, what happens is that let's say like, I'll discuss only for 2 3 minutes, not more, because you need to attend. Okay, so the microcontroller operates at a frequency of you know um, you know at some particular frequency that depends on the crystal oscillator connected to the microcontroller. Okay, let's I'll show you that. Let me show that in the manual. I'll show you that. Wait. Okay, let me show it here only. Aryabhatta board. I'll show you it. Okay, we should not imagine. Aryabhatta main board. What is crystal oscillator? What is frequency? We should not be when this is. Okay, when we have the internet access. Okay, it's fine. I think this is not in a clear image. No? In fact, I have better image in the. This is robo.in website, but I want a bigger picture. Actually, no, not this. Maybe this will help in tracing the oscillator. Okay, but I don't know. Cannot this open in another window? This is fine, but think this crystal oscillator frequency, is it visible? Yes, just give me a second. This is the actually crystal oscillator frequency. I'm not able to see the what you call the frequency. I want to see the frequency. Just a second. I'll show you the frequency of the crystal oscillator. This picture should be okay, but it is not opening. Or a button board. We don't want to show the frequency maybe. Crystal frequency. This operates at a variant 11.09 megahertz. This is the oscillator base. You can see the oscillator here. This is the oscillator which generates the frequency for microcontroller. That frequency is written. Oh yes, frequency is written above this crystal. Because you remember the crystal experiment in ADC levels. In that crystal, above the crystal was like this. Above the crystal, the frequency was written 2 megahertz. 2 megahertz. In the ADC lab, we used 2 megahertz. This crystal used in 8051 microcontroller, most of the versions of 8051 microcontroller, has a frequency of 11.0592 megahertz. 0592 megahertz. I wanted to show you that, but in this picture also it's not clear. I think I have the same picture, but this may not be visible. I want to zoom in and could we check that here in this page? No, this is not visible. What about this one? No. But the robo.in page. No. Yes, just 1 minute. In case if I can open the robo.in website, this where we get this hardware. You can find in other type of hardware also, but this is very easy to program. I'm sorry. I should have prepared with this. It cost around 480. If I can see that here, oh, it's not visible here also. Okay, anyway, no problem. In the next class, I'll show that. Okay. Yes, by the way, just a second in case of the. Okay, no issues. I think I've taken the attendance. Just give me just a second. Okay, fine, no issues. Yes, thank you, guys. Thanks for joining. Okay, see you in the next class. Take care. Bye.